Hello, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Brutality again. Once again, I have another interview as part of my ongoing project, and so we're just gonna go ahead and get straight into that. Thanks. Bye. All right, so I'm on the phone here with Tyler. He's another one of the Minneapolis area musicians that reached out to me about my interview project, and I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Tyler. I'm in a band called Good Trouble, and I'd say we're a rock band, loosely. Yeah, we've been around for a while, and we like to play shows and release music here in the Twin Cities.
Awesome. So, tell me a little bit about how you first identified yourself with music and kind of the steps that happened after that, like the prominent moments that made you realize that music was what you wanted to do with your life.
Yeah, so I guess I've always been in like I started in elementary school with being in like concert band and stuff. And that's how I met my bandmates in here. Um, we're all friends from high school. We were all in marching band. So and then we all had that musical interest, I guess, starting there. And then just slowly we decided that going into like the more like listening to the bands that we liked, they're all rock bands. So wanted to try to kind of emulate that. Decided to start a band back in high school, and that was like 5, 6 years ago now. And slowly, just over time, we've started to get more serious about it, I guess.
Sure. So, how was the process of beginning to kind of formulate wanting to make a band and then starting to write together? I was in marching band and stuff myself. I was in the drum line, so I kind of relate to like that kind of flow process. Um, so, what exactly was the process of getting the people together and then saying, "Hey, let's start writing this type of music"?
Yeah, our drummer Ben, it was kind of his idea, and his dad had an old bass guitar, and one of our other buddies, our current guitarist Jake, is he just had a guitar and was all right, and we needed a drummer at the time, so we just kind of we got some guys together that were willing to try to learn some instruments. So when we started, nobody knew anything. We were all self-taught, basically. I think our singer had some keyboard like piano lessons, but other than that, we all just kind of like taught ourselves based on like the love of doing it and figuring it out. And when we first started, we had like absolutely no songwriting experience, so we just learned covers. Um, we actually put out like a cover. We recorded our own like cover album like in our first year,
Hmm.
and it was as high schoolers, and it was garbage. It sounded bad, and it was not in time. It was nothing, but it was a really good way to like start to figure out how to play with each other
Hmm.
and what it means to like because you learn song structure because you start to see the patterns of, oh, all these verses are the same, all these choruses are the same, stuff
Hmm.
like that. So
Sure.
yeah.
Uh, cool. So, did you guys kind of start to conceptualize what you wanted your band to be about, or was it kind of more free flow where, song ideas just came and whatever kind
Yeah.
of stuck to the
Well,
wall?
when we first started out, our drummer wrote like all of the lyrics, and then we each like wrote our own parts. But slowly now it's kind of developed more into like a more collaborative process, I guess, where like if somebody has a guitar part, it's like we all know the instruments at this point. We all are pretty versed in other instruments, so
Mhm.
it's more of a collaborative process now with the songwriting, where it'll be, I'll have a guitar part and I like these lyrics too, and kind of figure it out that way.
So from there, of like actually getting your band together, have you guys been out there doing shows prior to the virus?
So yeah, kinda. Our band, once we graduated high school, we all like went to different parts of the country. So two of our members went to myself and our drummer went to UW Stout, Wisconsin for college, and then our singer and guitarist went to Iowa State. And since then, we've kind of stayed apart. So we're like remote. We like when the COVID thing happened, we like it didn't affect us like at all because we were already recording our parts remote and everything. So to answer your original question, yes, we do like to play shows, but not as much as we probably should or can because like our guitarist is in Kansas City now, so it's like a 6 hour drive for him to try to come back to the
Sure.
Twin Cities. So yeah, we try. Right
Well,
before COVID hit, we were doing like once a month for about 6 months.
So with that kind of element that's kind of creeped up, do you kind of find yourself looking for additional outlets to potentially be able to play shows more frequently? Or are you kind of just looking at like kind of the postal project kind of avenue?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess we've kind of gone down different creative outlets. We kind of have a YouTube channel going right now. We're trying to post like some creative things. Some of it's music based, some of it's not. We kind of go down that to kind of figure that out. We don't have a solution for like playing or live streaming. We haven't really figured that out. But we'd have. I mean, we're going hard on the recording. So we're trying to release a song a month, doing that on the Spotify and doing that
Hmm.
model.
Sure.
And we're pretty ahead for like the first time ever because we've had this so much time to get ahead. So we got like 6 months of songs kind of stockpiled up at this point. So
So you probably have, since you've mentioned that you put out a lot of digital distribution, you probably have an opinion about what the Spotify CEO recently came out and said about how the problem isn't how much musicians are paid, it's the fact that they don't work enough and put out enough content.
I actually hadn't heard that, but yeah, go tell me more about that. What did he say?
Essentially, he was doing a conference and essentially said that um, with the way that the music industry is going and independent artists releasing their music digitally, that the problem isn't the fact that musicians and artists aren't being paid enough. It's the fact that they're not putting out enough content to get the streaming like royalties. And
Hmm.
that's why artists aren't making money is because they're just not producing
Well,
enough.
that's like twofold though. But like, because like who, if you're a local artist, how can you support yourself making that content? Like you're already making as much as you can, I assume. If you're doing this as your passion or whatever and you want to
Hmm.
make it a deal, like you're probably doing this after you work 12-hour days or 10-hour days already,
Right.
and you're gigging on the weekends and stuff. So I don't know if I agree with that.
I,
um
I would definitely not agree with that as well. That definitely seems like something he would say to kind of like brush off, the guilt.
yeah, I mean, maybe once you go up the line further, like maybe some of the bigger artists you could say don't work as hard as some of the smaller artists,
Hmm.
and that's not necessarily fair. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like most of the people at our level are just grinding and trying to make that jump up to the next big thing.
Right. So you said you have about 6 months of music ready. Do you have like a distribution calendar where it's like, every couple weeks you're putting out a song?
Yeah, we do the end of the month. So at the end of the July, we put out a song called "Keep on Trying," and
Hmm.
then, or sorry, at the end of June, and then last week we did a song called "Just a Down Day," and then the end of August we'll have a song called "TikTok" coming out, and that's all leading
Hmm.
up. So the way we're going to do it is, so last summer we released a 6-song EP called Magnum Oopsie,
Hmm.
and leading up to that we did 3 singles in 4 months to kind of like promote the EP. But what we found once we like looked at the data and everything was that the only songs that people listened to were the singles that were released previously.
Hmm.
You're probably familiar with that
Right.
concept, but so instead of, I guess I put this in air quotes, wasting the effort on making like album or half of the EP that
Hmm.
people aren't even going to listen to, we're choosing to release all of the songs that are going to be on an album as singles. So right
Hmm.
now we have a January release date for our album. This is all tentative, but
Hmm.
that's what our plan is right now. And we're going to release all the singles in basically the 7 months before that.
Sure.
And then as an incentive to look at or go check out the album because all those songs won't be new. We're going to have some like bonus features where it'll be like an older song that we re-recorded, or we're working on some acoustic versions of the song. We'll kind of tack on to
Hmm.
the end for like bonus tracks, stuff like that.
Sure. Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're definitely right in taking that approach to it. The way that it seems like marketing is going is it definitely makes more sense to have that continuous output of content rather than like
yeah,
waiting,
for sure.
2 to 3 years to put it out.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I went to school for marketing, so I'm super versed
Oh, there you go.
in all of that. Yeah, it's the thing I always tell people is like, you want people to see your band as much as possible without it being annoying.
Right.
Because like that one click is great, but that doesn't do you much for like a sustained thing. You want people to see, they want to see Good Trouble's name on their Instagram feed
Hmm.
every week or every couple weeks so they can remember. Because you're more likely to, you're more likely to click on it if you've seen something about it before.
Right. And then it's also about not constantly pushing the same product for 2 years. It's, the constant
Yeah,
evolution of it.
yeah. We have a lot of stuff going on, so it's not too hard for us, on Instagram to figure. Because we have a podcast also,
Hmm.
and we have
Sure.
our YouTube videos that we're always pushing, and it's hard to keep organized, but we try, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's very cool too. That's one of the reasons that I started this podcast was because I wanted to, give musicians another way to get their content out there. So it's another version of the musicians being able to have content.
Yeah, that's kind of like one of the things that I'm trying to get into is like that collaboration,
Hmm.
like aspect of it. We haven't really done a whole lot of that, and I really want to kind of explore. And that's why I reached out to you. I was like, hey, we should, because like I don't understand why bands don't do stuff like that. Like you go back and you look at some of these bands that came up in like the '90s. They did a lot of like split EPs and stuff,
Hmm.
and
Absolutely.
I'm not seeing a lot of that in the Twin Cities now, at least from my perspective.
Sure. A few of the other people that I've talked to all reference this strange phenomena that happens in the Twin Cities music scene, that it's like the same 25 people that play in like five different bands. And, I don't know any of those people, so they're all just kind of doing that themselves. It's this really weird dynamic that's developed in the local
Oh,
scene.
that
Um,
is interesting.
But the collaboration side of it is absolutely something that I very much promote. One of the founding things that I started this entire project on was the Bedroom Bands Reddit, subreddit. And basically, it's just this huge forum of, I think they're up to like 38,000 subscribers now that all just collectively collaborate on this one subreddit.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's sweet. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's very cool. Um, so with you guys kind of identifying where you are now and then pushing forward with the content that you have and identifying your strategy for the way that you're going to market yourselves, where do you kind of see that going? Like, what would be that next step after January when you put out the album with all the bonus features? What's that next step?
Yeah, so we're not gonna stop. Like once we have like we're starting to finish, we're finishing up all the songs now. Like most of them are mixed, and I do all the mixing myself. So
Mhm.
um, most of those are done. Um, and we're gonna just keep trying to get ahead. I think the plan is to kind of promote that album for a month or two, but just keep right after that, another EP, another 6 songs, singles or something
Mhm.
to do that. And it kind of depends on the COVID situation too, whether or not we can play some shows or not, because that'll change how often we're releasing or not. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So, I mean, we all 4 of us want to someday go on like a tour of
Hmm.
somewhere, probably self-planned,
Sure.
at where we're at this point. But I mean, that was a fever dream about it, 6 months ago, and it seems more and more unlikely that'll happen next summer or even the summer after that. We don't know where the world will be at. So
Yeah, it's
that would
hard to
be
say.
a long-term goal to answer your question, I guess.
Sure. Um, a lot of that is kind of how comfortable you feel with it too. A couple of the people that I've talked to have been like, "Oh yeah, I've been doing shows all through this," and it's just like, where?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some like people saying like, "Oh, I have a show coming up on whatever," and I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." Like,
Hmm.
I mean, more power to you if you're comfortable with it. But like for us, it's such a hassle for us to get all the guys back here,
Right.
and like it's a pretty big time commitment. I mean, both our guys have 6 5-hour drives, or 2 of our guys do. So it's not really worth it for us to go to a half full bar and play for an hour. You know what I mean? It's not.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
gotta you gotta evaluate that. I guess we look at it as focusing our efforts more on. Let's take that time. That weekend you would be home to play a show. Well, why don't you take that weekend and record your guitar parts?
Right. Exactly. And that's a really good like productive mindset to have towards it.
Yeah.
So, through all of kind of these processes and kind of figuring out where to take your project, what are a couple like really standout stories that you have about either working with your current musicians or interacting with other musicians?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that I was not prepared for that. I feel like there's so many so many stories. gosh, I don't know. I guess like the biggest like highlight I'd say is just like I don't like I feel like there's this thing that only people in bands who have been playing together like can understand, where you're like the way that you can collaborate and kind of like speak like a third language or a second language uh with the people in your band. Like my guitarist and I can look at each other and know what chords we're going to change to, kind of thing. So I don't know. I just like, I guess my highlight would be like just growing that, that camaraderie through music.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really organic thing that grows, like working with a musician too, and it's nice to be able to connect with somebody that can like have that understanding based on minimal communication.
Yeah, it's weird. You take it for granted too when you've been playing with the same people for so long. Like, I mean, these guys are I mean, we talk all the time, every day, and my best friends, all that. But like I've sat in on bass for some other bands and stuff. And it's just weird how like you can take it for granted. You forget that like, oh yeah, he doesn't know like what I'm gonna do here because he hasn't ever played music with me before.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's now that you mention it, that could be one of the very frustrating things about auditioning with other bands as a stranger and dealing with other strangers. They're probably just as nervous as you are.
Yeah, especially yeah, and being a bassist, you have that connection with the drummer too. And I mean, it's insane. Like you start playing with another drummer, and he might be a better drummer than your drummer, but you don't know, you don't know when he's going to put fills in. You don't know what his patterns are going to be, and it can just change. It's just something you take for granted.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, so as we kind of wrap this up, what I like to do is I like to give you plenty of time to put out any of your plugs. So like your Facebook, YouTube, any of your like your social media where you want people to come look at your stuff.
Sure.
And then also I like to offer the person I'm interviewing the last word. So just a message you want to put out, something that resonates with you.
Sure. Oh gosh, so not prepared. All right, but yeah, no. Your followers can check us out. We're on all the socials. Well, we're on Instagram and Facebook mainly. So just search for Good Trouble. Good Trouble Official on Instagram. That's where we're most active. But everything goes through Facebook. We do have competition. There's this like freeform TV show that stole our name. It's called Good Trouble. So that's usually comes up first. But if you type in official or Minnesota or band or something, you'll find us. Same thing with YouTube. We're posting pretty much weekly. Yeah, I guess other than that, we also have a podcast. It's called Five Things. If you search Good Trouble, it's easier to find that way. It's on all the pod catchers. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't think. And then on Spotify, same thing. We got music coming out all the time. Like I said, we just had a song released last Friday called Just a Down Day, and there was one right before that. It's fresh. We got new stuff coming. So look forward to that. As far as the last word, I don't even know, man. I guess, I mean, we have this thing in our band where we just like end everything, which was like saying bitchin'. So I guess just bitchin'. And that's what my word is.